Captain's Log Supplemental.
So, Miss Vicki.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when we were watching those WRL events and some of those grid life events where you used to see the in-car video and it had like the cameras seeing front and back, but it also could see all the telemetry and everything that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the ones that we liked were taken by the Sentinel system. Remember James came on our podcast earlier?
Right.
You know, we have no excuse since he lent us one for trial and demonstration purposes. We should actually probably put that in one of our cars. Maybe two.
I really think we should.
I think we should.
I know.
Because then we'd look like the immature endurance racing team that we are. Oh, wait, I mispronounced that, didn't I? Sorry, my bad. We could
So what does the
have,
Sentinel system do?
we could have 3 cameras with picture-in-picture. We could have, if we ever get the AIM system to work, open invitation to anybody from AIM to come on and give us a little bit of love. We need some help. And then we could have all our telemetry on there. And then we can have it streamed live into the paddock or around the world to our millions of fans. We're apparently very popular in Kenya right now. Don't know why, but that's fine. And it can integrate all the available race statistics from like Race Hero and everything. So we could actually see how we're doing on video. We wouldn't even have to carry around our phone anymore. Live.
I love it.
From the great halls of their house, there are assembled 3 who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team. Dominating with Dawson.
Ben Dawson, I need Ben Dawson, and I have him.
Yeah, I've got great news. I'm full of Ben Dawson. So
I mean, if somebody's going to have a Ben Dawson, you might as well be the person.
May as well. Why not me, right?
Why not you? So, not that anybody cares about my chess, but there's a guy that I play now. We're about the same level, and Ben's like sitting there going, "What the hell are you talking about?" And his
you
name,
play chess now.
Yeah. And his name. This is what you do when you listen to the podcast, Ben. And his name is Ben Dawkins. So when texting,
I'm surprised I haven't gotten this chess text yet.
Yeah. Hey, you want to play? Anyway, so sorry to both of you in the before I do it, but it's coming.
And poor old Ben Dawkins is like, "What the fuck is a brake pad?"
I know. He's sitting there going, "I don't think this is me." And I look at it, I'm like, it says BD on the top. I'm like, "No, it's Ben Dawson." It says Ben with so BD. Funny. I'm like, "We're good." And then I'm like, "Oh, sorry." Teach me to text by voice texting while driving. But anyway,
you do that really?
Voice text.
I've never had any luck with trying to voice text, but also I'm a mumbling idiot, so that probably doesn't help anything.
I do like when the voice texting feature turns into curse words, what weren't curse words. That's hilarious.
I love it. I also love it when my 4-year-old cusses. I'm like, sorry. I'm sorry, Lord. Sorry, Jesus. I apologize.
Whoopsie. All right, sir. We're trying to soften you up with a nice, easy softball. So,
okay,
Ben Dawson.
Yes.
If the track is wet,
then I'm happy.
Besides being happy about it, and besides thinking my advantage just grew.
Tom, you talk about the best modification that's ever happened to me in a race car. It's when the heavens open up and all of a sudden I got an extra 150 horsepower on everybody.
Exactly. All that horsepower we don't have. We're fine.
Oh,
it's
man.
Fine.
That's awesome.
So we've talked about this a little bit, and this is one of those where Miss Vicki would say, we've already talked about this, but sometimes this could be their first episode. So I was thinking,
sure.
What are your adjustments that you do when the track is wet? There's a few.
driver or car or both?
I was going driver.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. So I think we talked about this before. I'm sure I've said this before, but in my opinion, track that's solidly wet and has been wet for a while and is kind of the same amount of wet is easier to drive than a track that is getting wet, that's just beginning to rain and is getting wetter and wetter.
Yep.
Or a track that's drying is also tougher.
I think drying is easier though.
Yeah, of the two, coming and going away is easier than like settling into the rain as it starts. But both are kind of treacherous because you can, you start getting comfortable with the drying track, then you hit that one turn that won't dry. You're like, oh, you know what I mean. So there are pitfalls to everything, and I think the biggest adjustment you make right out of the gate when you start to feel that you're losing grip, because I mean it could be raining for several minutes, or you could be seeing raindrops for several minutes before you feel any different in your butt dyno, before you feel like, oh, I'm sliding a little bit. So I mean, during that time, that's when I'm still kind of trying to test limits, and see like, hey, am I still good braking here? If I had been braking at 3, I might, once it starts to get a little heavier, I might be like, let me try 3.5 and see what that's feeling like. And if that's starting to feel sketchy, start backing my braking more and more. But you're going to have less ability to brake and turn your car and rotate your car when there's less grip on the road. So that's what happens when it starts getting wet. You're going to lose grip. So you have to start thinking of, how are ways that, this corner I usually like to go through here when it's dry. I go through here this way, but now that it's wet, I might need to change. I might need to square it off to try to get my best exit. You in my mind, you're going to be kind of in some corners. You're going to have to kind of radically change your line. If something's not working, if you go through there trying to storm through there and you got no grip, try storming through there. Offline. A lot of times, offline braking is more effective. So, but what I'm saying mostly is in the beginning of it, when you first begin to drive on a wet track, whether you're taking over when it's already been wet, or you're going out there when it's already been wet, or it starts during your session out there. I think it's important to test your limits and feel it out, especially if you're in an endurance race. You're not going to lose that much by backing it up a little bit, backing your pace off a little bit, and seeing what I can get away with. Much better than walling it. We've had a teammate come out of the pits and wall it on the out lap. It's like, whoa, that is.
I was going for my record. I was going for the record.
We are not trying to wall it on the first lap. So so I think it's important to feel stuff out. But also, I think if you're a thinking driver and a driver who enjoys a challenge, you're going to be ready to fight for however much grip you can get every time you come to that corner, and every time it's going to be different. Yep. So another big approach and different adjustment you have to make is just opening your mind to the fact that, hey, my usual kind of comfortable dry line probably not going to get me around this whole lap. Some stuff may still work. Maybe turn 1 still feels good where you usually do it, or good enough, that you don't have to adjust here. But hey, turn 3, I used to throw it in here, but suddenly I can't really get anything going there. I'm having to slow down too much. So maybe I'm going to try coming in offline and exiting online, or, coming in on my normal line, but exiting off. And like I mentioned, so big adjustments are kind of backing off, testing things out, being ready to adjust your line to what's going to work. And don't assume. People like to make a lot of assumptions about the rain line. Rain line, okay, here I do this. You know what I mean? Rain line, now this. Rain line, this. You can't just make a blanket kind of approach to rain driving or compromised grip driving for whatever reason the track is compromised. If you take sort of like, okay, I see a little rain. Here's what I do. When it starts raining, I do this. You know what I mean? You're going to get somebody who likes driving in the rain is going to eat your lunch. If you're somebody who's kind of reticent to really push the limit in the rain, then other drivers who like it are going to just wear you out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's more try or be prepared to try stuff than just do it.
Exactly. You have to be an explorer on a wet track. Explore how much grip you've got all the time, and if it's something it's totally okay to be put off and intimidated by the rain, or just say there are plenty of club racers out there like SCCA NASA guys who are, for whatever reason, their rain setup, 4 jack stands and a Miller Lite. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Totally fine. If you don't feel comfortable, don't feel like it's a safe thing, don't do it.
But it's so much fun.
Well, it is for some of us. Some of us, it just freaks us out. But something that's important to remember, this is just aside from the point, something to take everywhere with you at the racetrack, is that if you ever feel off about it, like, maybe I should skip this session, skip it. If something in the back of your mind says skip this session, skip it. You know, something in
Absolutely.
your mind says, I don't feel good about going out in the rain in this car for whatever reason. Don't. It's okay to not. It's okay to not do it. Nobody's here to pull your good racer card. Good racers understand safety and understand their limitations. So let me say that. On the other hand, when I see it cloud up and rain, especially at a competitive event, I'm like, let's get it. But that's just different. That's just different mindsets and different approaches. I see the rain as suddenly here comes my team who's never, ever been the dyno. Here comes my chance to shine. You know, we're never gonna be a team that's trying to like have the most powerful engine, but when that rain comes out, that's suddenly something that brings everybody down to our level. Suddenly you're stuck in here with me and this is my house now. That's how I feel when it rains.
Yep. So three features of the track that I think you should be aware of and thinking about and potentially having to react to and change things is one,
painted curbs.
paint in general.
Yeah.
Curbs.
Yeah.
And downhill. Downhill seems to bother you more.
I'll tell you what, storming into turn 1 at VIR, which is already an extremely hard braking zone, and in the wet, I have definitely watched, you know, on a race start or something like that in the wet. I'm definitely like, I'll watch where everybody else is braking. Because I mean, it's rare that you're out there in the very first spot in a race start or something like that, especially in an endurance race. So I will definitely watch.
It's really rare for us.
Yeah. So we're like, what is everybody else getting away with? All right, I'm going to try that maybe plus a little bit, especially on a race start. But yeah, I'm definitely happy to take kind of a reference idea from what I see other cars are able to do, and then kind of build from there. So I don't mind not being the first one into a turn in the wet, because I'm like, why don't y'all all show me what you're going to do, and then I'll do that or better.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'll hang back and watch what everybody does for the first time, and then kind of go from there. I mean, to me, that's like back in my business school days. You know, I want to be one of the first ones to give my presentation, but not necessarily the first one. Like, let's see how much effort this guy put in, and then I'll make him look stupid, and then I'll sit down for the rest of the time, and then I'm
there
done.
You go.
You know.
Yeah. So I would say the fundamental thing that I always try to do is, if in an absolute circumstance, there's the 10/10th lap.
Yep.
But you can still do a 10/10th lap in the rain. The problem is the penalty for going 10.1 in the rain is a lot bigger than the penalty for going 10.1 in the dry, because you may get into something you can't get out of. So I'm always willing to give myself just a little bit more margin.
Yeah. I think you're right about that. I mean, because also once you're out of control in the rain, what's happening to you?
Yeah.
You just sliding. You're out of control, and you can't stop. Whatever, you're just slip into something that you probably would not slide into in the dry if you had the kind of the assistance of your brakes and that sort of thing. But once you're sliding in the wet, you're sliding and you're gone.
Yep. And
so that's a good point.
There's very little you can talk to a wet grass. You know, it's okay. Tell me when you're done with me, and what do I hit, if anything?
Yeah. And to be more specific about your points about paint and curbs, and what was the third thing? Downhill.
Downhill.
We talked about downhill. I'll tell you, paint. I think it was 2017, so I'd already been doing this stuff forever by the time, but before I ever really noticed this. But I had gone to the Glen for the first time to race with AER, and it was the Friday before, and like the first half of the day was a track day for local doctors or whatever, like, you know, track day for just rich dudes in the area. And then the second half of the day was going to be tech and qualifying for AER, but during this track day event, I saw a guy with a very fancy 911. He was talking to some of the AER guys, so it seemed like he was kind of friendly with the group. And I had never been to the Glen before, so I had my suit and helmet on and ready, I think, and I just went up to this guy and said, "Hey, can I ride around with you so I can see the track? I've never been here. I got to race this weekend." And he's like, "Yeah, sure." I'm not joking. This guy gets in and puts on a pair of those leather driving gloves that have the big hole in the back and the hole in each knuckle.
Yeah.
He puts those on, and I'm like, this guy's, you know, I was like, oh shit, this guy's not going to push it at all. He's just going to kind of go out. And he kind of was that kind of driver, but it was wet. And we're coming around, whatever that last turn is, 11 or 12, coming around that turn to go back onto the front stretch. And there's that painted line. There's that painted line for the pit entry. Painted yellow line. And we go across that. We've had grip. We hit that 8 inches of paint, and you could feel the car slip 6-8 feet. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that was a big illustrative moment for me where I was like, oh, this paint really can mess you up because that guy was just he wasn't even doing anything crazy. He was
Yep.
driving probably a 6-7 tenths lap in this car in the wet, and we hit hit that painted line. It was just like you see his hands do a big swoop like whoop, and we just got right back on line. But I was like, wow. So so you can use it if you're not rotating well enough and you know how to hit it. You can use painted surfaces to help you rotate.
Right.
I've definitely talked about that 700 times on this podcast, but that's another thing to dip your toe in and stretch into and feel out and feel out. Don't just go whole hog the first time going, I'm gonna throw it across this paint and see how it goes. Like, just work your way up to stuff like that. But things that some people are kind of freaked out about in slippery surfaces. If you're a daring traveler and you want to try something else, some of that stuff can actually help you turn and get right back on the gas. Some of that stuff can help you turn and rotate quickly and point you in the right direction faster than you would be if you were necessarily doing the thing where everybody drives a lane off of the ideal line.
Yep.
And then has to kind of work their way around to the exit. In some cases, something like a well-placed curb that might be a little bit slippery, painted curb or otherwise, some of that stuff can help you do a little swippity swap on your direction and get gone.
Inside curb, not outside curb.
Outside curb, not necessarily your buddy, unless you're just hoping it's going to catch you. I'm talking about inside. It's stuff inside the turn that's painted.
Yes.
And I mean, you might hit it, and it may slide your way out, and you're like, oh, that was not my ideal thing. Maybe I want to try a different angle across there, or maybe I just don't want to touch that at all. But some of that stuff can help you, and if you like to win and be fast, it's worth exploring.
You know what, Ben? I feel like we covered a lot, but I'm not sure we covered everything. You know what would help?
What would help?
If people wrote in and said, hey, you dummies.
You idiots. We talked about this,
How
this,
could
and this.
you
and
not
this, right?
talk about blah, 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 blah. So
I'm certain we're forgetting a lot of key aspects of driving in the rain, but
yeah.
And I'd love to hear from all of our devoted fans about what we might be missing. So we'll come back and talk about that too.
Or if they're having trouble.
I'm not too proud.
What if they're having trouble? We'd love to hear.
Yeah, if you'd like to help us, if you'd like us to help you work anything out,
That's
with
right.
your driving or your approach, we're happy to. We love hearing from people that listen to the show. We'd love that anybody listens.
It's always a surprise.
Yeah, it's true.
GarageHeroesInTraining@gmail.com.
And our OnlyFans.
And the OnlyFans. That's a whole different thing. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.